Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Across the Pitch on the AAT Sports Network. Today is Saturday, May 2nd, 2026. I am Mike Barrera. I am joined today by Ben Brescher. We are here to discuss the 0-0 result between the Philadelphia Union and Nashville SC. Also, it's been a pretty crazy day in Philadelphia sports in general. We'll get to that conversation. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see over my left shoulder, we have the Sixers game on behind me. So a lot to discuss, a lot to unpack. But Ben, first of all, sir, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well. Thank you. I think I would be feeling better if the Union were able to get a win, but not great again. I thought there were definitely positive moments from this one, but we're at the point of the season where you just have to find a way to get a win, and I think a change is definitely needed. I don't know on what front yet, but yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, we're going to bring up a couple comments, and then we'll just unpack. I think, Ben, just before we get to this conversation, are you a supporter of all the Philly teams or just the Union?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you and I can share this. I know some people in the comments are not, but we'll get to this conversation. I think it was a pretty unique day in terms of Philadelphia sports and sports in general. I mean, we had the Kentucky Derby today, which is a pretty massive race. So first of all, OG McFly says 24 feet wide, 8 feet tall. We simply can't find it. Valerie says those giant posts get in the way. Wolfie adds, why can't we finish? Yeah, right now the Sixers are struggling to finish as well. So we'll see if they can at least be the one team that saves us tonight. Mandy says, take a shot for every shot we miss because the post hates us. Mandy, if I did that, I'd be drunk by halftime. That's definitely for sure. Now, again, if you support all the Philadelphia teams, you know that today was a very interesting day. The Philadelphia Phillies have not lost since Don Mattingly took over for Rob Thompson. They were playing the Marlins today at 4:10. The Sixers and the Flyers both in the playoffs. Sixers have a game 7. Again, you see it behind me with the Celtics. Flyers in the second round against Carolina. The Union at home against the best team in the Eastern Conference, and of course the Kentucky Derby at 6:57 p.m. tonight, around 7 o'clock tonight. So it's just a lot to unpack. It was a very fun morning for me, Ben. The vibes were good. You go to Wawa, the energy was good. People are wearing their gear. I know you're not local right now, you're at school, but like, what were you feeling before this really massive slate in Philadelphia sports?
Yeah, lots of anticipation before the day. All of the social media and everything pointed towards this being a very historic day for Philadelphia sports, and yeah, definitely very excited. I know a lot of the people I've talked to are going to try to watch as many games as they could at one time. So yeah.
Actually, SC adds here, your Sixers feed is ahead of mine. So I hope that I can give you some good news a few seconds earlier, but otherwise look away if you have to. No, that's how I felt too. It's so funny how sports are in general. And again, I know this is a Union show, and we'll get to that in a couple minutes, but it's so funny how you have the rock bottom as of just, Rob, the Phillies are terrible. The Flyers lose 2 in a row to the Pens, and you're getting hesitant there. Joel Embiid has his appendix taken out. The Union obviously are being really frustrating right now. And then suddenly, it's a shift in the energy and the vibe, and the Flyers are winning a playoff series. But yeah, again, I'm South Jersey. I'm local to the Philly area. I go into Wawa today, going around shopping running some errands this Saturday afternoon, and there's Flyers gear, more Flyers gear today than I've seen in God knows how long. It's great. Honestly, it's addicting to be in this type of environment. So unfortunately, Phillies lost. Sixers are in a really tough nail biter right now against the Celtics. Flyers were down 2-0 last time I checked. I mentioned the Phillies. But the Union, let's talk about the Union match. Now, before this game even started, there was a couple things that went in the Union's favor. First and foremost, Nashville are currently in the semifinal of the CONCACAF Champions League against Tigers. Now, Ben, I just want to ask you before I continue, have you watched any of the CONCACAF Champions matchups? Did you watch this Nashville game at all?
Not the entire game, but I watched most of their first leg, yeah.
Okay. Any thoughts on this before I kind of continue with this conversation here?
Not many, I guess. Yeah, Sam Surridge was surprise absence midweek for them, he was out for this game as well. He's week to week, I think, with a back injury. But Nashville were good. I still think they're the best team in the East. they played very well. It was a great goal from Angel Correa on Tigres. Great strike, a lot of quality there. But Nashville, they had their moments. Eddie Tagseth, one of their center mids, got injured for them in that game as well.
Mhm.
Was out for this one. But I mean, yeah, they looked good. The one problem was that they don't really have a backup striker like with
Yeah, Madrigal was the backup for them, wasn't he?
yeah, they're very different profiles. Like there were a lot of moments where Espinoza would put in a great cross and it would just Warren Madrigal didn't really time his run right or went over his head. But yeah, Nashville looked good, and this is definitely a result that they will be very pleased with going into their second leg.
Yeah, you think about Nashville and how stacked they are, and I mentioned my match preview. They have a legitimate chance to win CONCACAF Champions Cup. I know we talked about this briefly before, but I think a very sneaky addition they made was Christian Espinoza. Correct me if I'm wrong. He came from San Jose, right?
Yeah, San Jose.
Okay, so Espinoza comes from, and he's just an established player. I think Lord of Olympia has mentioned this before in other comments. I know he sees there's a comment here as well from Lord of Olympia, but it's one of those MLS players you would hope the Union would have gotten in the offseason. It's available, and he just adds a great depth piece behind Serge, behind Hani Mukhtar as well. Nashville's firing on all cylinders. So entering this match, I'm thinking, okay, Serge is out. I believe he was week to week with a back injury. So I didn't expect him, even if he was ready to go today. I didn't think BJ Callahan was going to put him out there, considering they have such a big match on Tuesday. They're going into that game down 1-0 in aggregate against Tigres. They're going to Mexico City for Mexico rather for the next match. But I'm thinking there's no way Hani's going to start. Serge, obviously, again, not going to play. And Hani didn't start. Espinoza didn't start. I'm thinking this is the best possible chance the Union have to get a home win. I mean, we played DC at home. We had NYCFC who were okay at home. For me, before we even got to the lineups, before we even got to today's match, I'm thinking this is a great opportunity for the Union to build some momentum moving forward. And I don't know, Ben, how you felt. Did you still feel like Nashville could beat us with their second squad? But for me, I felt somewhat optimistic.
I definitely felt optimistic going into the game. I agree. I think this was really the Union's chance to at least show that they have some quality this season. But yeah, I think Nashville, they played the game how they wanted it to be played, and I think it made complete sense that BJ Callahan would try to kind of slow the Union down, contain them for the first half, and then bring on their three big weapons with Mukhtar, Espinoza, and the Har off the bench, and try to find a winner. So I think it completely went into how Nashville wanted to play, and very disappointing from the Union side.
Yeah, we have a couple comments I want to bring up, but Jose Nunez has joined us today. Jose, first of all, I mean, I know you, Ben, and I, tough day in Philly sports right now. Nothing's really going our way. Sixers in a nail biter. So, sir, how are you doing tonight? Any thoughts today on the Union's 0-0 result against Nashville?
I made money on a horse, so there's that.
Hey, you bet on was it Golden Tempo, right?
Yeah, bet on the horse to show, and of course, it did more than just show at the Kentucky Derby. So,
yeah.
Listen, I feel like this is very much a match that Carnell and company will look at and say this is more or less a loss. Slash, I would think that BJ Callahan and his entire rotated squad of second and maybe even third string players consider this a massive W. I mean, it's so obvious
Sure.
when you have a Neo and everybody just try to get the ball back into the keeper's feet, try to get him to take his goal kick, etc., as fast as possible. You can tell that there's obviously some sense of urgency in Philadelphia wanting to get something out of this, and of course they don't. So I think that's obviously the biggest story. I hate to be that guy and get into the drama side of things, but my goodness, certainly did not need a lip reader to see Kevin Sullivan's frustration of being substituted at around the 70th minute. I posted a clip of him just basically, I think, dropping 2 or 3 F-bombs within a 7 or 8 second span there. So there's a lot going on with this team. 95% of it not great. But Andre Blake made a save, really two good saves. It's funny. Apple has to give out an award of like player of the match, and it was Andre Blake,
Andre
which is
Blake.
hilarious. So, yeah, man, I don't know. I heard some of Ben's thoughts. I'm eager to hear your thoughts, Mike. I completely missed them as I was taking the dog out and taking two kids that fell asleep on the sofa watching the game.
No, I view this as a loss. I view this as a frustration. I think Lord of Olympia sums it up pretty well, actually, right here. For 60 minutes, our best couldn't break the second team for Nashville. There's enough evidence to date that this looks a lost season with the current squad and setup. And also, Mandy adds here, can't believe the Phillies messed up that 1776 parlay today right off the bat. Yeah, Mandy, I was pretty annoyed. I had a $10 bet for like a $3.90 payout. I was like, damn it, Phillies, like you had Painter on the mound, you couldn't get this done. I think what we saw though in the second half gives me some hope for the future, and we'll get to that in a couple minutes. But today's starting lineup against Nashville's second squad, we had Andre Blake in net. We had Frankie on the right today, Sari Larson, Makanya, and Nate on the left, Vasilev, Lukic, Danley, Jean-Jacques, and Kevin Sullivan as your midfielders, and then Alosky and Alado as your starters. A bit of a twist here. Not something we've seen so far this season in terms of these exact players in this exact positioning. Ben, what stood out to you? Because for me personally, I'm thinking we've said a few times we want to see Frank on the left. It hasn't worked yet, so we shift him to the right, and I kind of liked it today. So Ben, your thoughts on today's lineup?
Yeah, the main thing I noticed was first of all, Sari started after the Union appealed and the red card was rescinded, so that was
I'll be back.
big.
I have MLS duty. I gotta listen to press conference.
No problem, Jose. Thanks. Go ahead, Ben.
And yeah, so Frankie and Nate makes sense why Nate's on the left, in my opinion. It's really just to offer defensive support for Kevin. I think Frankie wants to bomb forward on the right side and get forward, so. Yeah, it makes sense to me why he is on the right and Nate is on the left to offer more defensive stability. I mean, yeah, the midfield then, but with Bueno out, is always going to be Lukic and Danley.
Sure.
Indy and Kevin get the start. A bit surprised to see Kevin actually, just a bit, but I thought Ilosky would have moved back and we would see Damiani and Alado up top together, but Ilosky up top with Alado. Alado is probably the biggest surprise for most people if you're looking at the lineup, given that. But, I mean, Carnell changed something there just to see how it worked, but the press was still off at times. Lack of chemistry really hurt the team. I definitely think he tried. Alado put in a lot of work and effort. In the first half, he had this one great defensive play when they had a counterattack after a corner. But yeah, not good enough then. But from the rest of the team, but with the lineup, not many surprises. But if I had to point to one, it would be Alado.
What's interesting for me is, we talked about this, I think 3 weeks ago. At what point do you bench Bruno Damiani? He just isn't producing. Simple as that. You put in Alado today, which I think is fine. I think if Carnell's gonna go out swinging, and if Carnell's eventually gonna get fired after this season, at least we know as fans that he did everything possible. He tried to put as many pieces into as many places as he possibly could to try to make things work. I give him credit for that. Bruno just hasn't been good enough. I mean, I don't care. I know his hold-up play is good. I know his pressing can be good, but at the end of the day, we pay him a lot of money to score goals, and he's just not scoring goals. So I don't have a problem with Alado getting an opportunity because we put a lot of money into him. We got to see what the heck he can do. He hasn't had a substantial time to play, so I'm fine with it. I like the fact that Kevin and Nate were together on the same side. I think what we saw previously, against Columbus with Ndinga on the left side, clearly there's a clear drop-off between Nathan Harriel and Felipe Ndinga. From a defensive standpoint, from an offensive standpoint, even though Nate isn't very strong going down his left-hand side, even though Nate overall is not a great crosser compared to Frankie Westfield, you could see that there was an improvement in play with Nathan Harriel. And I like the fact that Kevin was on his side to offer some creativity. As Mandy mentions here, though, Sari Larson, he gets the red card rescinded. which is rightfully so. I think it was a really BS red card. But then, as Mandy says here, can't believe we saved Sari from a red card just for the man to get injured anyway. And then you see Gagne Martinez being brought in. Now, I think it was around, was the 14th minute? I think it was the substitution. I'm going to try to zoom back into my FOP mob notes real fast. The 15th minute, we had a substitution for Gagne Martinez with Sari Larson. I couldn't exactly tell what was wrong with Sari. It looked like Paul Russian was kind of like massaging his shoulder. Well, I'm sure we'll find out soon in a few moments. But, you know, Ben, we've seen Gagne Martinez get cooked a few times this season. How are you feeling in that moment where you see Sari go down and Martinez slotted into that center back role?
I have some confidence in Gagne Martinez, but I think it worried me given the fact that he did not expect to start the game. So he's coming in into a game where he just doesn't have, I guess, really, he's not really warmed up. And against a team, I know Nashville out there, like most of their starters are rested, but it's still a tough game against one of the best teams in the league. So I think I was worried about Martinez's ability to split lines with his passing. We've seen problems with his passing so far this season, but I thought he came in and he got a yellow card, but
he did.
I thought it was really good. He was good at times. He did what he needed to do. Second half, he started to find his rhythm in the game, but I'm just happy we have a third center back that's not having to move Nate to center back.
I think Mandy actually brings a good point here as well. I think Martinez looked leaps and bounds better today, which I think, Ben, you and I both agree with as well. But maybe they worked him extra this week because of the red card situation. Now, Mandy, to just add some clarity to your comment, we did not hear about the red card being rescinded until Thursday evening. Now, I'm sure the Philadelphia Union were probably notified slightly sooner before it got released to the public, but still, you're thinking the last game ended on Saturday afternoon. Saturday night, right? You're probably thinking Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You're expecting Gagne Martinez to be starting this match. So there is a chance that from a mental standpoint, he was like, all right, here's my chance. Yeah, sure, Sari ended up getting that moment, but it's possible he saw maybe a little bit different tweaks in training. So I think you're right. I think both of you all are spot on with he looked more comfortable. We didn't need to have him, scoring goals like Jacob Glesnes from the center back position or scoring headers like Nathan Harrell does. We just needed him to do his job. And I think Gagne Martinez ultimately did his job. But in the first half in particular, probably the second half as well, there were a couple of moments that Nashville certainly had scoring opportunities, but most of it was Philadelphia Union controlled. I think even I listened to Dave and Seba on the call as well, on the radio overplay for Apple. And they mentioned, like Philly is in control of this match, but it seems, I think, as OG McFly mentioned earlier in the comments, the goal could be an extra 5 feet wider and 3 feet taller. And it doesn't feel like we can ever get anything on target. But beyond that, it doesn't feel like this team has the ability to generate a shot on target in open play. I think one of the best chances we had in the first half was that set piece from Milan Olaski. He has this little chip to Kevin Sullivan, and Kevin ends up getting the first shot on target for Philadelphia for the match. And I'm like, this is great. But the problem is that when they're in open play, it's just get wide cross, get wide cross, get wide cross. And it's consistently blocked off by opposing teams. I mean, Ben, I feel like I'm asking you this question every week now. What is it with this offense? What are you seeing maybe something different than I am? Because it just seems like it's the same song and dance every single week.
I agree. I'm seeing a lot of shots from distance. There's not in recent years, we've seen them build into the box, and then the mistake is that they've made one too many passes. But here, I mean, it's Olaski taking shots from distance towards the end of the game. There's not many numbers forward. It just doesn't seem like the team's on the same page at times. And I really don't know how to fix it. I think it starts with finding the shape, and that is finding your best 11, which is weird to say at this point. I think the defense is solidified, the midfield too, but the striker pair is not, in my opinion. I don't think, and we've seen a lot of changes. I still think Olaski is actually better as one of the 10s. I know I say this a lot, but I think Alado and Damiani, like if they're gonna play, you got to put them up there together, because there were times like Olaski's not gonna win the headers after, like he's not gonna win those.
He's not gonna win those. You're right.
So I thought Anello was actually great. I thought he really came in and changed the game. He gave us a new dimension. He kind of played like Quinn in the sense that he didn't really check in. He stayed wide, got the ball, and then attacked 1v1, which is something I want to see more of. But if it's coming down to the Union's chance creation at this point, the main part, or one of the main parts of the Union chance creation, is going to be from Frankie on the right. He had a lot of crosses, not really many from Harriel, which makes sense given that Cavan Sullivan was in front of him. So I think he was told to stay back a bit.
Sure, it makes sense.
But yeah, lots of crosses, not really much play in the middle. Like for example, in the first half, really good play. Cavan gets through to the byline, crosses it in, and Danley kind of hesitates before running into the box. This was very early in the game, maybe first 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think that those are the moments where the midfield, someone in the midfield is going to have to take that step up to join the attack. But again, they really shouldn't have to. This season, our midfielders, Bueno's taken a big step forward and scored a lot of goals for us. It's the strikers. But I'm kind of interested in what Carnell's trying to do with Olaski as a second striker. I see the vision that it's really after the striker, Alado or Damiani, wins the 50-50. Olaski's there on the check down, but it's not worked for many games. So I don't really know why they keep doing that. I think that's where the biggest change needs to be. And I think if a change happens there, the Union's chance creation might improve.
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, Lord of Olympia brings up the point of missing Bueno tonight was evident when seeing some of Lukic's play. And we've talked about Lukic so far this season. It does seem that Bueno and Lukic played well together. Recently, we've noticed that Lukic kind of falls off when Danley's in the mix. Now, that's not Danley's fault, but it just seems that's just what we've seen as people who watch the games every week. Lukic is definitely not fully as he was last year. And I feel bad for Bueno, honestly. He's definitely been the MVP of this team in the past month or so, give or take. I mean, maybe top 2 best players on the team. To see him go down last week after that turnover when he got the hard slide tackle in Columbus, you're hoping that Bueno has a quick recovery. But you're talking about the best 11, right, Ben? I think we've seen Carnell try as many different equations into this 4-2-2-2 system as he possibly can, right? Can we put Bender here? Can we put Anello here? Can we put Alado here? Whatever. I think there has to be a point where he has to change the formation. He has to. And I know Todd Lewis has mentioned this before, having Olaski directly behind Bruno Damiani or Alado. But when you think of a player like Anello, when he played in Uruguay, he was mainly a winger. And a lot of people said, well, he's not really a striker. He's more of a winger. I thought he played well tonight. And this is the most we've seen Anello since the Atlanta match, right? I don't think he played much after the Atlanta match, Ben. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong there.
No, he's been injured. I think, did he? Not sure if he made a brief cameo. I can't remember.
He might have.
I think he did. Yeah, he came on. Yeah, for Raffanello in Columbus, but this was his real, I guess, first big minutes since his injury in Atlanta.
Yeah, it feels like it's been an eternity since we've seen Anello, and it's funny that you mentioned Quinn Sullivan, actually, because again, I was at my one of my really good friends. His daughter turned 11, so we just had some pizza and wings at his house. So I was watching the game there on the laptop, and I was driving home, and I put Dave and Seba on the Apple broadcasts to listen to it. And one of the first things that Dave Leno said was that the staff compared Quinn Sullivan and Augustine Anello, and they said they're very similar players. And in particular, it was because of that moment where he had the ball in the box, He created just a bit of space, and he ended up having that shot, which I believe hit the post, if I remember correctly. I liked what I saw from Anello today. It felt creative. It felt dangerous. It felt like he was flowing well with the team around him. And I wonder if maybe the best formation right now, if everybody's healthy, you have Blake and net, Nathan, Sari, Makanya, Frankie. Whether Nate or Frankie play on either side, that's up for debate. I think today was fine. Your defensive midfielders, I think I'm going to go Bueno and Danley. No, Bueno and Lukic. I'm sorry, Bueno and Lukic. I think you're going to do a 4-2-3-1. I would put Anello on your left, Olaski in the middle, Danley on your right wing, and you put Bruno Damiani up top. Or Alado. It depends, I guess, whoever you prefer. I don't know, Ben, if you think that formation would work, but I would love to see Cavan. First of all, I don't want to see Cavan start in 90 minutes. I think he's still a kid. He needs to see time off the bench and not be thrown into this high-pressure situation time and time again. I would like to see him as a substitution. What do you think, though, of that particular formation and that lineup there? Because for me, I feel like all those players have been playing the best out of everybody.
I don't mind at all. I agree. I don't think Kevin Sullivan should be getting 90 minutes, although he was really good today. And I understand, like Jose said, he should be rightfully frustrated.
Sure.
He had a great game. In the first half, he was the one, when the ball got to his feet, immediately flipped a switch and we went on the attack. I know we've talked a lot about Indy these past couple of weeks, but I think one thing I really noticed this game was that when he got the ball out wide, he kind of slowed things down. Didn't really put the ball. Yeah.
Always. Go ahead.
I mean, like at times, like that's fine, but right now the main problem is the goal scoring. I want to see guys. If you're going to play at one of these 10 spots, you need to get the ball and immediately try to create something out of it. Indy gets the ball, waits for the reinforcements. It kind of slows things down to try to get like a build-up play or something like that.
Right.
So I think Anello, great. He should start. I think if Bueno's healthy, he should start as well. I like Danley as one of the 10s. It offers more defensive support if needed as well. Because Anello is going to work, but if you need it, I just think things need to change. I wouldn't mind also. I mean, Carnell would never do this probably, but go with maybe like a 3-4-2-1 with like a 3 in the back, then wing backs, because
sure.
And then like I think maybe you could have Makanya, Seri, and Martinez in the back, or Harriel, Westfield, and Harriel or Dinga as wing backs with Bueno, Lukic as the two holdings, maybe Olaski and Danley, and then Damiani up top or something. It feels weird though, because we're in like, was it match 10 of the season to be
11 now
11 to be trying stuff out, but something needs to change. The Union were just not able to break down and Nashville's B team, essentially. There were chances, but there were chances for both sides. I mean, if Wubens Pasius heads that ball in off the free kick,
sure.
It's wide open header there. Blake made some great saves. So, yeah, I like your lineup idea.
Yeah, I think at this point you're at rock bottom. You you can't even beat a backup team right now. And as I mentioned in my match preview as well, I had Nashville tie no bet as my play of the day because it felt like, they could probably pull out a draw and they could park the bus. And I think to your point with Indy Vaslov, I don't know if you remember the Chicago match from last year. I think it was a playoff game. It might have been the first one at home. I don't remember exactly right now. But there was a point in that game where it didn't feel like the Union were moving quick enough. And then I believe they brought in Ua and Frankie Westfield at halftime. And the game got faster. The game got wider. It just felt like that's what we were missing today, that high-intensity pace, which I thought when Anello came on, we saw a bit more of that. A couple comments right here. Ethan says, watching Damiani shoot is like watching a basketball player airball on every shot. Yeah, I want to talk about the Damiani shot late in a couple moments, Ethan. I won't forget because that was a big I don't know, ick for me. I guess you want to call it, as the kids say, ick, right? Valerie says, didn't they all hit the post, Kuda? Yeah, I feel like they hit the post 4 or 5 times tonight between both teams. It was a crazy match. Um, Cole joins us today saying, we know what Kevin can do offensively. Tonight, I was impressed by some of his defensive recoveries. Yeah, there was actually a moment in the first half, Cole. And I think one thing we've talked about is, well, Kevin's 16. He's still grown into his body. But, I mean, he's physically becoming, a young man. And you saw there was one moment in the first half where he beats his defender, and you can see him fighting off the guy behind him. I mean, and you can see the strength that Kevin Sullivan has. So I think from an offensive standpoint, yeah, we know what he can do. He's got great footwork. He can put a great pass. He can get a good shot on target. But from a strength standpoint, we're seeing it a bit more now. We're seeing, the quadzilla from his brother Quinn being carried down to Kevin. So I mean, from a excitement standpoint, yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do as he continues to grow into his body. A couple more comments here. Nichelle adds, we didn't lose. That's true. We didn't lose. That's always that to lean back on. Jose Nunez joins us again. Jose, I know you had a press conference. Were you at the Union one, or where were you at?
Yeah, I was at the Union one, seeing if there was anything worthwhile to potentially put something of a story, and absolutely not. Not a. I mean, honestly, the game that stole the show earlier on was Orlando coming back from down 3 goals to beating Miami 4-3. And right now I'm staring at a Chicago-Cincinnati game that's 2-2, and Cincinnati gets another red card in the season. So I think that's like 5 or 6 for them this year, which is an unbelievable amount. But yeah, Bradley had a lot, but also not very much to say about this game, right? The same tune, and I get it, right? Of we're just not having the ball bounce our way. Some of these shots that hit the post, some of these shots will go in eventually, that type of thing. But what I was really honing in on was the Kevin Sullivan angle, not to replicate the beat that some of our friends in the press really lean on to make their bread. But Carnell answered about the substitution, and it was more of a physicality thing with Andy Nahar coming in and wanting Agustin Aneo to keep up with him a little bit more than Kevin would. Take it or leave it. That's what he said. Do I believe it? I don't know. To me, it sounds almost like, it feels like it was more or less planned than anything, because Kevin played fantastic 68 minutes. I'm not sure that you really mess with that, even if Andy Nahar comes in. But he also tuned in on or touched on physicality again on a different, Kevin's just not physically there. Obviously, he's a child, sub 18. So totally get that. So not much to it. He's really proud that they've turned around, not giving up goals in the first half over the last 4 games. I'll tell you that.
Slow clap for the Union. Slow clap.
No, listen, I'm not trying to be flippant with anybody's job, but it's I think you and I have heard coaches speak for a while now, and across different sports. Starting to get tough to listen to these ones a little bit.
It's getting a little tough. Jose, I did want to bring up a point that Lord of Olympia mentions here. It is May after all. The transfer window isn't too far off. Is there still an opportunity to bring in a new player similar to the transfer of Gazdag transfer midseason? I mean, Jose, any ideas of whether things could be in the works, or do they bring somebody in?
Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Anything you're hearing right now about whether a player could be brought in during the next transfer window?
Oh, certainly. All the time. They're looking all the time. The Union are always evaluating, looking who's going to be a free agent, who's not going to be, who has a contract that makes sense for the Union, et cetera. So do I know anything? No, not really. I've been so busy with work that I haven't really asked around. But my guess is that, they're going to have to do something. To be, 6 points, right? Through 11 games, basement of the Eastern Conference. I'm guessing neighbors with Sporting Kansas City at the bottom of the overall table. Not good company to have at the table, I'll tell you that. But they're going to need something, whether it's player related, and again, not to be, flipping with people's jobs. Maybe it's coaching. I don't know. who knows what it is. All I know is that Carnell is really leaning on, this is another thing he said, the fact that there are 4 games until the international break. And then he sees it as the post-international break being the second round of the season, which fine, but brother, you're throwing Leagues Cup in there too. So gonna be busy.
All right. Well, I have something to say about that. We'll get to that in 1 second. So Philly Rovers says bleach blonde Cavan is the best Cavan, and Cavan is too good for us. Philly Rovers, thanks for hopping on. Always enjoy your commentary. Another comment as well. Nichelle adds another clean sheet. I mean, sure, right? Some silver linings here. Lord of Olympia also adds maybe the Union idea of a new player is the return of Quinn Sullivan, right? And God, I would love to see Quinn Sullivan right now in the blue and gold because, yeah, it would feel like an upgrade at this point. And then in terms of depth standpoint, you would have potentially Anello, Indy Vasiliev, Cavan Sullivan on your bench. That's pretty solid from an offensive standpoint, from a pressing standpoint, from a creativity standpoint. Maybe Quinn is the one that comes off the bench for the first few matches. Obviously, as he gets back, acclimated again. Nichelle adds maybe Kai Wagner, Summer Lone. Haha, very funny. I would love that. Oh, by the way, the Sixers won, so they go to the next round. Congratulations to the 76ers. I won $40 tonight off them, so thank you very much, Philadelphia. I appreciate it. But Jose, to your point about the matches, and I really want to bring that up and add some extra context. I think it is important. I'm stalling a bit as I try to find it. Here we go. The Union have now gone 4 unbeaten in their last 5 matches. You had the win against Montreal, a 0-0 draw to DC, a 3-3 draw to Toronto, a 2-0 loss to Columbus, and obviously today 0-0 against Nashville. Now, to Jose's point regarding the next 4 matches, he's correct. There's 4 games left until you have the World Cup window. They go to New England on May 9th. I know Ben Brescher will be there in New England next week. You have a road trip to Orlando on May 13th, which is a Wednesday, midweek game. May 16th, you have a home game against Columbus. Daniel Gozlog returns to Philadelphia, Chester, whatever. And then they end this quote-unquote first round at Miami on May 24th at 7:15 p.m. Weird, starting 15 minutes sooner than other matches. I'm not optimistic about these next 4 games, but a question I have for both of you. The Union, in this hypothetical I have, the Union don't make the playoffs, but somehow they win Leagues Cup. Ben, how do you feel as a fan if that were to happen? Because, I mean, listen, crazier things have happened, but what will you feel, Ben, if they could win Leagues Cup or make a final at least, but, struggle in MLS?
It's huge success if they can even get that top 3 in Leagues Cup. They've been successful in the past in Leagues Cup, but I mean, yeah, it's a new tournament. Players could go on very good runs, like we saw with Jesus Bueno a couple Leagues Cups ago.
Sure.
So I think it's very possible for the Union. It's great that they have all of their games so far at home. But right now, winless at home through the MLS season. So they're going to have to figure something out. But definitely a huge success if they can replicate any sort of wins momentum in Leagues Cup.
Well, I think to add some extra context for those who don't know, if you come in 3rd place or better in Leagues Cup, you get CONCACAF Champions invitation. Is that correct there? Okay. And a little dinero as well. Jose, do you share Ben's feelings with Leagues Cup if you were to pull out a title there?
One thing I want to add to what you were listing off in terms of an unbeaten streak, not to sour it or poo-poo it, but the Union have not won at home since February 26th.
Against Defense Force?
Against Defense Force. I think I got that right. So not to poo-poo it, and sure, an unbeaten streak can be, it's all about words and semantics. It's not acceptable for this team in terms of certainly the success that they had last year and the success that they've had over the past overall 6 years. I don't know that, I'm too cool. I'm certainly not too thrilled about that in terms of what this team should be achieving.
Sure.
Leagues Cup question. Is it a success if they are to win that? I think it's a massive success and probably something that they would hang their hats on. Fan base would not accept it. I think as well as myself in the press, yourself in the press, and Ben, I think you're probably leaning somewhere. You're sort of straddling this middle part too. To be even in that conversation would be crazy because of the format that it is, right? Where like if you even draw one game or win games in a best of 3 against 13 other teams, if you win a game by 1 and somebody else wins a game by 6, like your chances are immediately diminished to move on to the next stage. I'm not sure how much you followed with this new format, Mike, but it is very, very different from the one that the Union last participated in.
Really?
So,
I did not know that. I haven't paid
yeah,
attention.
so they
Okay.
separate basically into 2, let's call them towers, and like the best record with goals, etc., of the top whatever it is, move on to then the knockout stages. So when I was out in Colorado, for example, Colorado won, I think 4-0 against, I think it was Juarez. I can't remember which team it was. And it just happened. I happened to be in Commerce City for work, and the players were bummed because they're like, we won by this, but like this other team that we're technically in this group with just won by 6. So like this win doesn't really mean much. So they went on and kind of threw the second and third stringers for the last game because they knew that their chances were more or less gone. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I answered it. I would be happy with it. I would be thrilled. I think that's great. Miami certainly puts a lot of weight behind that one, or did for a while before they got their own MLS Cup, right? So
Yeah.
so should the Union. But we'll see.
I mean, I definitely think if you ask fans, I think you're spot on, Jose. Majority of fans will rank League's Cup as the bottom of all the trophies. They'd probably put Sports Shield above that. I think a lot of fans will put CONCACAF Champions Cup below MLS Cup. I think that is the ultimate crown for that. Although we can probably all agree that CONCACAF Champions Cup winning that is more significant compared to MLS Cup. I don't know how I'd feel. I mean, I want to see them win trophies. I think that's what we're all here to watch, is for them to win trophies, and it is a legitimate trophy. And getting invited to the CONCACAF Champions Cup should be taken seriously, and the money you get from it should be taken seriously. Now, whether the Union do anything with that money, that's another story. I know they were charging like $20 today for the Star Wars Cup, so hopefully they made some money off those things. But I don't know. I don't trust the Union to make a deep run in League's Cup, but it is a possibility, and it would certainly be curious to see how this fan base reacts. Now, one comment that's kind of piquing my interest here. Lord of Olympia says, out of curiosity, do you remember Hackworth's record when he was fired years ago? So I did a quick Google search. Whether this is 100% accurate, you'll have to find out. But John Hackworth served as a Union head coach from August 2012 to June 2014, compiling a 23, 30 losses, and 20 tie record across all competitions. So not good, essentially, is what I mean. He had this is the quote from AI Overview on Google. He had a quote unquote uninspiring 3-7-6 start to the 2014 MLS season. So not great, but a little bit better than Bradley Carnell. He certainly served more time that season than Bradley Carnell is currently at in this point of the year. Mandy also adds regarding CONCACAF Champions Cup, it's so much money that will line someone's pocket and not be invested. And Nichelle says, I will take any cup at this point. Yeah, it's pretty abysmal. But I mean, Jose, before you joined us again for the second part of this conversation, a lot of what we were talking about was it just seems like we're really close and we can't finish chances. One in particular was the golden opportunity that Bruno Damiani had in the box, where he was just wide open, had, I think, a one-timer on his left foot, and he skies it over the net. And it just didn't feel like we could finish. So the question I asked Ben, and I touched upon as well, is who is your best starting 11 right now? And in what formation would you like them to see? Because right now we've talked about a 3-4-2-1, I believe is what you said, Ben. I mentioned God, what did I say now? A 4-2-3-1 is what I was suggested. So what were your thoughts be on the best 11 right now and the best formation for this club?
I think you saw a lot of the best 11 for the Union tonight in terms of as it stands. Blake, though, honestly, I still want to see more Andrew Rick out there, right? Like, and this is just out of, at some point, the Blake Band-Aid needs to be ripped off the way that the Bedoya one has been in a way, right? Slowly but surely. So I hope that there's a good transition there. Um, I'm still on the fence on Sari Larson. I see a lot of good things, but I also see like that first half chance where he went to meet the ball, whiffed, and then next thing you know, like Nashville, of course, has their B side up top, and they completely squander that chance.
Yeah.
So I think the back line is what you want. Instead of the start in terms of the starting four, then you have Bueno and Lukic. I'm sorry, Lukic and Danley, who I think had a fantastic game actually. Lukic played well too.
Yeah.
I really appreciated. I know I'm skipping, but I kind of appreciate the way Alosky played up top and having this variety of speed and pace along with Alado.
Mm-hmm.
Alado, I think, got shouted at a couple of times. It looked like through the screen. I think I saw Danley kind of like shout out him, like go this way or that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, who knows what he's gonna be like. So I guess just kind of flipping the coin there. And I've seen enough, I think, and I know I've always wanted to say you got to protect the kid against defense force, but I don't see how Kevin Sullivan does not get starting a starting spot from here on out, because he was the most creative and the most forward-thinking player today.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure, he was doing some dumb bullshit FIFA Street stuff at one point where like he messed up, but still got around 2 or 3 players. Like, cool, great, but like, you're the most creative right now. Just do it. So that's where I stand on it, man. I don't know. This New England team is, it's not like the worst team possible, but also it's not a bad team. And you're playing at Gillette, which did that turn? I guess it must have turned into grass at this point for the World Cup, right? Yeah,
it's grass. Yeah.
So the turf is no longer an excuse.
No, it's not. Actually, Nichelle brings up a point. I don't think I've heard anything yet, but is there any word on Choo Choo's timeline regarding his ankle injury?
I can't recall.
I don't recall either.
And the press conferences lately, the midweek press conferences, or I guess tail end of the week press conferences now, are starting weird, where like I think a question's already asked before they hit record or stream.
Yeah.
So I don't know that anybody has actually really asked. Hopefully soon, because they need this type of rotation.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree with that. And again, I hope Choo Choo comes back soon, because he's been one of our better players, and I really just want to see everybody healthy. I feel like that the one thing that has hurt Carnell is that through all this rotation and stuff like that, it's just been injury after injury after injury. Every week we have somebody going down, which is frustrating for us to see. I mean, we see Sari Larson leave in the 15th minute. It just there's like some sort of lingering bug every single week at this point. Nichelle says, Easy was spicy. He pushed the concussion doc away while being examined. Yeah, he seems to be a little bit of a spicy fella. But tonight, again, frustrating 0-0 result. We have New England Revolution next week. Was it on Saturday night at 7:30 p.m.? New England is currently in second place in the Eastern Conference. Wow. They have 6 wins, 1 draw, and 3 losses. They have 19 points on the season. In their last few matches, they beat Charlotte 1-0 today. They lost 4-3 to Orlando, drew Miami, beat Atlanta, beat Columbus, beat DC United, beat Montreal. So they haven't exactly beat the best teams, but I mean, they've taken care of business. They've won the games on their schedule. Ben, I know you're going to be there on Saturday night. How are you feeling about this match against the Revolution?
Honestly, quite scared. I saw they today it was a 97th minute Carles Heel penalty that won them the game. They are dealing with a couple injuries. I'm not sure. I know they've Eli Feingold. They're pretty good starting right back. Missed this game. I was there last year when the Union beat the Revs 2-0. So there's hope. I think it's a big field. So that's something that I want to see how the Union approach that, because in the past with the way the Union want to play, it's obviously hard, quick transition moments, but the players will get gassed. So I'm interested to see what Carnell does. Maybe he changes formations. It's gonna be interesting to see what he does. But yeah, take nothing away from New England. They've been great this year. They were a couple weeks ago. They played Miami. I think they tied. Great game.
Yeah.
Great game from them. I mean, Al Hassan Yusuf, one of their starting central midfielders, has been playing at a really elite level for them. And Luca Langoni, one of their wingers, has really stepped up. I think he has like 6 assists on the season.
Wow.
So it's going to be a tough game. I think the Union can get a result there, but it's really about the first goal. We've seen it so many times this season. They'll play well, but if they concede the first goal, kind of feels like really they've dug themselves into a very deep hole.
Yeah, your top scorers for New England: Peyton Miller 3 goals, Carlos Heel 3 goals, Yusuf 2 goals. But yeah, Luca Langoni 6 assists so far on the season. That's an impressive number so far. I love the silver lining though by Philly Rovers. We're only 6 points out of the playoff picture. Listen, you know what? He's not wrong. You hang in there long enough and you make a run late. You just got to get hot at the right time. Valerie, no worries, right? Yeah, we're fine. Jose, any thoughts New England? And I guess we'll wrap this up as well. Any final thought here from you, Jose?
New England's one of those not goofy. I don't know, man. I don't know how to word it right, but I just want to make sure I get his name correctly. Yeah, I've been very impressed even before he left the U.S. national team. I guess bubble of Marko Mitrovic and what he did with the youth sides and continue to obviously grow, evolve, and now he has an MLS job. The players that he's picked is Zambrano, a former Union Academy player who's out there, has brought in other U20 players, I believe, from abroad, also brought them back in and sort of sold them the promise that this New England squad's going to be basically San Diego all over again, right, in terms of playing the youth and not being shy about it. So tricky side. Fortunately for the Union, they don't have to go to the other side of the continent for an away game during this bit of a run. So I hope, for the sake of a lot of people who work very, very hard behind the scenes, and even the players who are there that are obviously doing as best as they can, and the sake of the fan base and us in the press, with press conferences with Carnell, where you can tell that there's some tension. I hope that the Union find a way. And even though I know Philly Rovers mentioned only 6 points away from making the playoffs, let's not act like that's a very high bar in this league, all things considered. So, and yes, you got to make the tournament to play in the tournament, or the tournament within the tournament. But I feel like the standard has been raised for this team over the past few seasons, barring 2024. So we'll see, man. It's interesting.
I also didn't realize that Leo Campana plays for New England. I don't know how I missed that, but
He's Mr. Injury.
Yeah, no, he's only played in 2 matches so far. He's 1 goal in 2 matches in 2026. His expected return as a FOTMA, which is obviously not official, is mid-May 2026. So he's dealing with something right now. No, I'm intrigued by New England. Again, I think the bottom of the Eastern Conference is pretty weak. If you look at just the teams we've talked about so far, DC United, obviously us, part of that mix. We have as well Atlanta's just spiraling out of control at this point. Orlando's a weird team. They can win by like 3 goals and also not. Montreal, not a great team. Red Bulls are surprisingly in 11th place. I thought they'd be a bit better right now. They're 3-3-4. So to Philly Rovers' point, yeah, you're 6 points out of the final playoff spot, and the teams that are between you and that spot are not really that great. I mean, you've already beaten Montreal. You could definitely do it. It's just a matter of getting it hot at the right time, but also maybe a transfer window. Maybe Bradley Carnell makes some significant changes. Maybe he is part of the change. Quinn Sullivan coming back as well. I think that's really important. But Kevin Sullivan's growth, I think, Jose, to your point, got to let the kid play. Yeah.
What I was going to say, your point on Quinn and talking to people behind the scenes and just people in my immediate orbit that know ball far better than I ever will. The Union did okay in terms of trying to replace some pieces. The one that they very much feels like maybe got ignored or time ran out, whatever you want to call it, is figuring out a immediate Quinn replacement, which just never happened. And whether it's, maybe it's keep the guy happy and not have an immediate roadblock for him once he comes back, or it's genuinely we just couldn't find someone. I don't know, but what I do know is that they do miss a workhorse of a player like him with that profile.
Well, I think again, what I talked about when you weren't here was Dave Leno and Seba on the radio call mentioned that the staff for the Union compared Quinn and Anello. So I wonder if they expected Anello to be that guy right away this season. In the meantime, I unfortunately, to your point, Jose, I don't think that's a proven enough person to bring in. You bring in, if you're going to do that, you bring in somebody who's a proven player. Like we talked about Christian Espinoza coming in for Nashville, proven player, done great things. You bring him in. We talked about Robin Lod for Chicago, I believe he's where he's at. These proven players have come on and been great depth pieces for these teams. So it's frustrating, very, very frustrated. As Lord of Olympia says, we couldn't beat DC. Yeah, we definitely blew those 2 games there. And Joe driving home, wishing you the best of luck, or safe drive home, rather, Joe. And Michelle also adds, does anyone remember what the Doop song sounds like? Well, it's funny because you have the CONCACAF Champions Cup matches against Defense Force, but you can't play the Doop song at the CONCACAF Champions Cup matches. So there were 7 goals against Defense Force at home that you couldn't play the song for. And then they just haven't been able to score in quite some time.
I was thinking about this the other day. It's the best and worst thing to happen both for Quinn and for the Union. The worst thing to happen for Quinn was the injury, obviously.
Sure.
The best thing to happen for the Union is that Quinn is likely never going to leave MLS because of the injury. Not sure what European team would take a gamble on a player with that specific injury and its history that it never played outside of the U.S. And that's okay. I mean, I think it's perfectly fine to be an long-time MLSer. I think that's awesome. Good for you, Quinn. You're gonna do very well in this league and continue to do very well. But sure. I don't know, and I hope I'm completely wrong. I hope the guy thrives and goes elsewhere if he can and has the opportunity. But I just don't know of a European team that would take on a player who had that type of injury.
I mean, you're not wrong, man. It's a pretty massive risk, and he's 23 right now. He's still fairly young, so.
Well, that's peak age in a lot of leagues. Actually.
Yeah, so, it's crazy when you think about that, right? Wolfie says here, I feel like Anello is most like Quinn, but I don't know if Carnell knows where to use him. And then Hoagie says, I heard it at the Las Vegas Knights game, the Doop song out there in Las Vegas Knights. Okay, good to know out there. I know, remember there was a run with the Flyers played it too as their goal song for a very short stint. But anyway, this is Across the Pitch on the AAT Sports Network. The Philadelphia Union ended up with a 0-0 result against Nashville at home. They travel to New England next Saturday night. Ben, again, will be there. Best of luck out there in New England. Hopefully you enjoy yourself and it's a Union win. We will be live after that match as well. Thank you, everybody, for hopping in the comments, joining the conversation. At least the Sixers won. That's great. Go Sixers. Go Union. Thanks, everybody. Have a great Saturday night.